अगर मुझे पीस ऑफ माइंड चाहिए तो मैं अभी इसमें अपनी फैमिली के हेल्थ के लिए आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू बी कंजूस. सो एक इंडिया में ये भी प्रॉब्लम है, थोड़ा सा हमें लगता है कि इफ आई हैव गिवन मनी आई वांट फुल रिटर्न.
Yeah, I mean, that fear is lurking all the time.
I am from the industry, but I can tell you हमारी industry complicate करती जा रही है इसको. Frankly, मेरे पास जवाब नहीं है.
This fear is there with every consumer. He's like, should I leave this decision to somebody else, or at least can I take basic coordinates into place before I decide on the plan?
They have to understand that the insurer is on their side.
Exactly.
Room rent limit is a crazy thing. Partly, if I may say, थोड़ा controversial है कि ये billing बढ़ाने का एक तरीका भी है.
Varun, I'm going to just come out straightforward and ask you the simplest, straightforward question. Why am I not sure that I will get my full money when I, take a health insurance in case of a coverage?
A tough question. There are many reasons why in a health insurance claim you might not get the full money. That's your question, right? Like why will you never get a full?
Yeah, I mean, that fear is lurking all the time.
So there are multiple conditions that are put in health insurance policies. Uske bhi reasons hai. It's not all necessarily unfair. But let me take what are the top 2-3 things why you don't get the full claim. Number one reason why people don't get a full amount of whatever the hospital has charged them is that there are sometimes waiting periods put in policies. Waiting period, the way to look at it is that there are some conditions which are not covered for a certain number of years.
From the time you take the
From
insurance?
the time you take the insurance. Variety of reasons. एक simple वाला बताता हूँ मैं. अब मान लीजिए आपको किडनी स्टोन है, आपने पॉलिसी ले लिया. अब किडनी स्टोन you do not need a surgical procedure today. आप वेट कर सकते हैं 2 महीना, 4 महीना, 6 महीना. It can be dormant. मतलब कोई immediate आपको तकलीफ नहीं दे रहा है. And now you take an insurance out and use the insurance to make that claim for that procedure. In some sense, आपको पता है पॉलिसी लेने से पहले कि आप क्लेम करने वाले हो. That does not make business sense. Insurance companies are going to give you a policy when they know कि कभी भी हो सकता है, but guaranteed अगर होने वाला है तो you cannot run a business, like that. So waiting period is such a condition. I think जिसमें कभी पूरा पैसा नहीं मिलेगा. Then the second one, maybe the most common one where people don't get their full money is called a sublimit. कि आपने 10 लाख का कवर ले लिया, तो you think you're covered for 10 lakhs. So any bill less than 10 lakhs, you should get your full money.
Cover,
5 लाख का बिल आया तो 10 लाख का कवर है तो पूरा होना चाहिए. पता लगा कि नहीं मिलता है पैसा. Let's take again a common example, cataract. Cataract का ऑपरेशन 50,000 रुपये में हो जाता है. Now, as a customer, because you have a 10 lakh cover, you may choose to take the seaside room and make that bill a 2 lakh rupee bill. So some common procedures which should be done in a reasonable cost, उस पे लिमिट डाल दी जाती है कि आपका कवर कितना भी होने दो, हम कैटरैक्ट के लिए 50,000 से ऊपर नहीं देंगे.
और वो पॉलिसी में डिफाइन होता है?
डिफाइन होता है, पढ़ता कोई नहीं है. दैट इज द इशू. ओके, डिफाइन सब कुछ होता है, लॉट्स ऑफ टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस. सो दिस इज सब लिमिट. रीजन फॉर दिस इज कि कॉमन प्रोसीजर्स में एक्सेसिव बिलिंग नहीं होना चाहिए, which are very common and easily done. Why should there be a excessive bill? So this sublimit, it's called a sublimit. That's the second reason. Third and most common one is the room rent situation. कि आपका policy may be 10 lakhs, like I just explained, but it allows you to go to a certain category of room. कि deluxe room में जाएंगे, shared room में जाएंगे, suite में जाएंगे, तो हर जगह इसमें बिलिंग अलग होती है. तो आपका कवर है 10 लाख का, बट एक रूम का कैटेगरी का डेफिनेशन है,
वो भी डिफाइन होता है.
वो भी डिफाइन होता है.
So where is this definition and all available for, let us say, a genuine patient wanting to go there? So before he gets admitted to the hospital, he has to check all these things?
I think hospital तो बात की बात है. खरीदने के टाइम पहले you need to know what the conditions in your policy are. 2-4 और छोटी चीज़ें भी होती हैं. Medical procedures में भी advancement होता रहता है.
Right.
Nowadays there are robotic surgeries.
Right.
Robots can do. They cost a little more.
Right.
Is it necessary to do a robotic surgery for something which was done in a certain way earlier? Or is it not necessary? अगर hospital or doctor wants to bill more, ज़रूरी नहीं हमेशा हो, they can suggest a robotic surgery and increase the cost of the treatment. ज़रूरी नहीं हमेशा हो, but होता है. तो देन इंश्योरेंस कंपनी कैन से कि भाई आपका कवर 10 लाख का है, लेकिन रोबोटिक सर्जरी का पैसा मैं नहीं दूंगा क्योंकि ये अननेसेसरी है. सो इफ यू हैव टेकन केयर ऑफ दीज 4 पॉइंट्स, waiting period, consumables, which is 100% bill payment and not cutting for the the sundry expenses, limits on specific procedures,
Room category.
and room category. ये 4 point I think अगर आपने by and large you have looked at very carefully, just these 4. उसके अलावा 25 पॉइंट होंगे इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी में, सर इसमें ये बेनिफिट है, वो बेनिफिट है, हम ये देंगे, वो सब मेरे हिसाब से it is like gravy on top. You can forget about it, you can choose to look at it if you're interested, but if these 4 may you end up making a bad decision,
right,
it is going to deeply impact you. Okay, so many reasons why you will not get the full claim amount.
कैटरैक्ट ऑपरेशंस पहले या जो भी ऑपरेशन जो अभी लैप्रोस्कोपिकली हो सकते हैं, पहले नहीं हुआ करते थे. अगर आप अपेंडिक्स कराना है वगैरह, तो आपको you will have to make sure that all this futuristic technology are also covered. How do you safeguard against that?
Futuristic technology small part है, मतलब इतना common नहीं है. I think there are 3-4 important things that critical है to before you buy a health insurance policy. See, health insurance policies also nowadays have started coming with 20, 30, 40 features and terms and conditions. तो complex होता जा रहा है.
Correct.
And it is very difficult. I am from the industry, but I can tell you हमारी industry complicate करती जा रही है इसको. Because people also want more features. Agent बेच रहा है, उसको भी 4 feature ज़्यादा बेचना है कि सर इसमें ये भी है, वो भी है, like 50 चीज़ और है.
This fear is there with every consumer. He's like, should I leave this decision to somebody else, or at least can I take basic coordinates into place before I decide on the plan? So what is the best way to decide what is the best plan for me?
Firstly, I don't think everybody who's buying health insurance and should buy health insurance should not fully rely on somebody else's advice. आपकी health की condition कुछ है, आपके family में क्या context है. I think all these things are different. So I think the easiest way, if I were to think about it, is maybe top 3-4 things you have to be careful about. Rest वो rare situations है या बहुत छोटी चीज़ें हैं, उसमें इतना कुछ meaningful impact नहीं होगा. तो वो 3-4 चीज़ें maybe I can help define. So first is probably the most important one I would say is waiting periods. Waiting period 2 type के होते हैं. So waiting period में I'm going to give maybe 3 main points, but let's say waiting period में 1A और 1B है, दो points है waiting period के अंदर. तो 1A waiting period में ये है कि कुछ common conditions, कुछ common 10-20 condition define होती हैं कि ये defined है आपकी policy में, उनका नाम लिखा हुआ है. Kidney stone हो गया, ये हो गया, knee replacement, something. There are few conditions which are very clearly defined. Okay. इसमें normally ये बोला जाता है कि ये conditions आपके plan लेने के 2 साल तक covered नहीं है.
Understood. When they say it's not covered,
yeah,
is it partially covered or
no,
it's
not covered
completely
at all.
not covered at all?
Completely not covered, but these are very specific defined 15-20 conditions.
Which I think anybody who's getting insured should know.
Should know कि ये है 15-20 चीजें जो 2 साल नहीं cover होने वाली है.
You know, Varun, a lot of people don't even know that there is a waiting period.
Yes,
absolutely. That's the shocking part. So first to know if you're going to put in this money and want to feel secure, at least you know what you're not covered for during the waiting period. That's
By the way, there are plans today which don't have these situations, but quite a few have. I'm just saying that this is called defined condition list, जो 2 साल तक usually cover नहीं होती है.
Understood.
Okay, नाम लिखा हुआ है, clear है कि यही 15-20 condition है, बाकी सब covered है.
Understood.
Okay, पहले 2 साल में भी. Then the 1B of waiting period is called PED. Okay, PED का definition बहुत commonly use होता है इंडस्ट्री में, तो अगर आप एजेंट से बात कर रहे हैं, इंश्योरेंस कंपनी से बात कर रहे हैं, I think understanding what PED is critical है. PED is pre-existing diseases.
Diseases, हाँ.
So you may be buying a policy where you have hypertension already, or you have diabetes.
Diabetes,
okay, which are very common nowadays. So anything related to that, they will say is not covered for 3 years or 4 years or 2 years. वो भी defined होता है.
Okay.
So because अगर आपको already condition है और उसके बाद आप policy ले रहे हैं और फिर immediately claim कर देंगे, तो again it is very difficult to run an insurance product like that. Okay. So 2 type के waiting period होते हैं. एक defined चीजें, and defined are usually things like kidney stones and all that, which are normal situations. And by any chance, if you have an existing condition, तो वो भी defined होता है कि ये आपकी existing condition है. Usually companies will take a test, medical test, or you will declare that I have this condition. Then they'll say, okay, diabetes and diabetes related 1 or 2 things we are not going to cover for the first 2 years, 3 years or 4 years. सो ये नॉर्मली 2 to 4 years के बीच में ही होते हैं ये वेटिंग पीरियड्स, 4 से ज़्यादा यूजुअली नहीं होते हैं।
Understood.
इसका लॉजिक ये है कि इफ़ यू हैव अ प्री एग्जिस्टिंग कंडीशन फॉर 4 years आई हैव नॉट कवर्ड एनीथिंग रिलेटेड टू दैट, बट आफ्टर दैट आई एम रेडी टू कवर बिकॉज यू डिड नॉट बाय द पॉलिसी फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ क्लेमिंग, क्योंकि अब 4 साल हो चुके हैं। सो व्हाट इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज आर ट्राइंग टू अवॉइड इज कि यू शुड नॉट बाय विद द इंटेंशन ऑफ क्लेमिंग टुमारो।
Correct.
You should buy for protection, that if anything untoward happens. So this is one big condition to look at. Plans today are available where the waiting periods are not there at all.
Oh wow.
They might be slightly more expensive. So if you want more peace of mind, you may say I'm happy to pay a little more, but मेरे को ये complication नहीं चाहिए कि क्या covered है.
Even for PED.
Even for PED. Okay.
Lovely.
Are available, but it really depends on the context of that individual. अगर आप मैं चलो diabetes की बात करते हैं. Diabetes में if I'm borderline diabetic, you know, maybe the insurance company will say I'll give you coverage from day one.
हाँ.
But let's say आप, you know, you're heavily diabetic, you know, you have that HbA1c and all of that, then they might say okay, we have a plan which allows for day one coverage and you may be willing to pay higher also, but I still cannot give it to you because you're highly diabetic.
Understood.
Okay. तो आपके हेल्थ पे बहुत डिपेंड करता है. But I think one thing to understand in which people do not look at and then there's a mishap at the point of claim. देखो दो टाइप के कस्टमर है, एक तो जो मिसयूज करना चाहते हैं,
हाँ.
तो उससे ये इंश्योरेंस कंपनी इसको अवॉइड करने की कोशिश कर रही है. एंड द सेकेंड वन इज हु आर अननोइंगली taking up a plan which has some waiting periods, not realizing. So if you want peace of mind, I think you need to look at this waiting period very, very carefully. That's number one. Number two is the thing we spoke about, the room rent limit.
Correct.
Okay. Room rent limit is a crazy thing. Okay. I don't know how many people know or whether we are all aware that hospitals जिस तरीके से charge करते हैं, मान लीजिए आपका knee replacement.
हाँ, because that was मेरा तीसरा question ये था, and I think that's going to be coming as part of what you're saying, कि आपने you went to the hotel, अब होटल में कह रहा हूँ, you go to the hospital, and आपको लगता है कि आपने काफ़ी पैसा दे रखा है इंश्योरेंस के लिए, तो you get the best room and the best treatment and वगैरह, तो आप you go to a good hospital and you realize you've paid for a certain room that should be covered, in the policy, and you decide to take that room, but you realize that the rest of the bill is also way higher than what it should have been for the exact same treatment. If you took that treatment in a smaller category room, the cost of the medicines, the procedures, the tests are much lesser. And it just quadruples every time you go to the next level of rooms. So even though I might feel entitled or privileged to be in that room because my insurance covers it, why is the cost so high for the same procedure?
Customer जब खरीद रहा है, तो I think from his or her point of view, it's important to check this, whether 10 लाख coverage है या 20 लाख coverage है, but room rent में कोई condition है that you cannot take more than a deluxe category room, or you cannot take more than single private room. अब single private room दो type के हो सकते हैं. You can go to the basic private room, you can take a suite also. Okay, that is also private, right? So some policies, not all, have this limit. Okay, your coverage might be 20-30 lakhs, but I am restricting you from going to. You can take a private room, but you can't take the most expensive private room.
Understood.
Now, if you end up taking the most expensive private room, you're absolutely right. वो cost 10%, 20%, 30% नहीं, वो सीधा 2.5-3 गुना हो जाता है. Okay.
200-300%.
Yeah, 200. So a knee replacement surgery or whatever it is, if something is going to cost you 2 lakhs, it will become 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs. Just because you have shifted the category of the room. डॉक्टर आपको विजिट करता है आपके 3-4 दिन के स्टे में हॉस्पिटल पे, अगर उसका कंसल्टेशन फीस फॉर दैट वन विजिट व्हाइल यू आर एडमिटेड इन द हॉस्पिटल इन अ बेसिक रूम इज 1000 रुपीज, इट विल बिकम 5000 रुपीज.
अंडरस्टूड.
आपको कोई IV ड्रिप लगा है, वो अगर 1000 रुपये का लगता है तो वो भी 5000 रुपये का हो जाएगा. सो इट्स नॉट लाइक कि रूम का किराया बढ़ रहा है, हर चीज का. वो नर्स ग्लव यूज कर रही है तो उसका भी रेट डबल हो रहा है. ओके, सो एवरीथिंग इज चार्ज एज पर द कैटेगरी ऑफ द रूम. सो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अगर देखें कि तो मिसयूज का बहुत चांस है. सो समटाइम्स देयर इज अ डेफिनेशन ऑफ सेइंग यू कैन नॉट गो मोर देन अ सर्टेन रूम लिमिट इवन दो योर कवरेज इज 20 lakhs 30 lakhs व्हाटएवर. वो होता है कि कवरेज एंड रूम रेंट लिमिट हैव टू बी लुक्ड एट टुगेदर.
But I just out of curiosity, there is a coverage for all room rents also if you so desire, correct?
You have to pay for
as premium as you go.
So you can get a policy today, and there are many available where there is no limit on the room type of room. Okay, Are those policies slightly more expensive? The answer is
course,
yes.
yeah.
My advice, if any, is that if you can afford it, you should go for it. You know,
Right.
because when there's a medical condition, you don't want to think about all these restrictions. So
Correct.
affordability पे depend करता है. बहुत ज़्यादा महंगा नहीं है.
Of course.
ऐसा नहीं है कि suddenly the premium becomes double. It is maybe 20% higher.
ये सोचने की बात है. This is very important for us to know.
Your
Yeah.
call to understand.
Yeah.
Why do hospitals do this?
That's the
Is a different question altogether. Frankly, मेरे पास जवाब नहीं है कि क्यों करते हैं. Because ideally, if I look at it like a hotel, if I stay in a suite or if I stay in a regular room, my coffee ka rate is not changing.
Exactly.
So maybe hospitals have more overheads. I don't know, but
So is there no way to regulate something like this? I mean, ideally the government should regulate something like this so that you don't. I mean, insurance is there is one thing, but nobody wants to get zipped. Not the hospital, not the insurance agency. And I realize from what you're saying that the insurance is with the patients. Actually, you're trying to see how to not both get ripped off when in case of a hospital.
ये बहुत important point है that once the customer has bought or somebody has bought an insurance policy, they have to understand that the insurer is on their side.
Exactly, हाँ.
Because अगर बिलिंग ज़्यादा हो रही है, एक्स्ट्रा टेस्ट ये भी कर लो जी, वो भी कर लो, आजकल होता है, do this also, do that also, nowadays, I don't know whether we remember, when I was a child, doctors would start looking at you and coming to a conclusion of, okay, let's try this, let's try that if you have a fever or it's not going away. But right now, it's like, first you do these 20 tests, then we'll talk to you.
Correct.
It's pretty much like that. Some of it may be necessary. Some of it, at least personally, I believe is overdone also today. Okay, कि ये भी करा लो, MRI भी करा लो, सब कुछ करा लो. Partly, if I may say, थोड़ा controversial है कि ये billing बढ़ाने का एक तरीका भी है, and insurance companies and the customer both are at the receiving end. कि दोनों का bill बढ़ रहा है. And bill एक side पे है, दूसरा the patient is also put through a lot more. Sometimes maybe required, may not be required. Unnecessarily, you have to go through a bunch of tests. So why do hospitals do this? Should somebody be regulating all this? The answer is yes. So दो types है, या तो government regulate करेगी. I think recently there have been some talks about creating a health regulator. Where किस रेट पे चार्ज करना चाहिए, कितना चार्ज करना चाहिए, किस for premium services, how much can you load? There is like today no limit of what is happening. So should this be regulated to some degree? The answer is yes. अभी तो unfortunately नहीं है ऐसा इंडिया में, तो medical costs बढ़ते ही जा रहे हैं. There's एक और तरीका है, in Western markets, US or maybe UK or wherever, where insurance का awareness बहुत ज़्यादा है. तो इंडिया में अभी भी आई थिंक 20-30% ही हॉस्पिटल की बिलिंग इंश्योरेंस के थ्रू होती है. बाकी लोग अभी भी अपनी जेब से भर रहे हैं क्योंकि उन्होंने कभी प्लान लिया ही नहीं. इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज भी बहुत ज़्यादा हॉस्पिटल के साथ नेगोशिएट नहीं कर पाती, क्योंकि हॉस्पिटल की अगर 80% बिलिंग मान लीजिए इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज के थ्रू हो रही है तो उनको सुनना पड़ेगा.
करेक्ट.
लेकिन आज वो, इफ़ आई कैन से इट इन हिंदी, हॉस्पिटल इंश्योरेंस कंपनी को भाव नहीं दे रहा है, क्योंकि उसकी बिलिंग सिर्फ 20-30% is happening. In Western countries where 70-80% of the billing,
I think more than that.
Maybe more. I don't know the exact numbers, but maybe more.
Yeah.
Then insurance companies are able to set up protocols with hospitals. कि यार ये protocol follow करना है. अगर आप protocol से deviate कर रहे हो, extra billing कर रहे हो, तो इसका क्या reason है?
Correct.
But I think India, if I can be honest, sad thing to say, थोड़ा दूर है अभी. Either government has to step in, or insurance penetration has to go up. कि lot of billing is done, तो ये थोड़ा rates control में आएगा, नहीं तो otherwise we see कि ये तो inflation होने वाला है.
So we have to see under the current circumstances how to safeguard ourselves the most and get the most out of the insurance policy that we are buying. The procedures are getting more expensive by the day, right? So will the premiums also keep increasing because the procedures are getting more expensive? Is that how it works?
Yes, insurance companies have to make money. It's not charity business to hai nahi. So if the medical costs are going up, the premium will accordingly keep going up. So
even if you have not claimed,
little inflation ho raha hai. So in the same thing, I'd got some numbers I can tell you as we were doing some research. A knee replacement surgery, which after a certain age, maybe 60 or something, a lot of people have a knee issue. Maybe 2018 1 to 1.5 lakhs.
हाँ.
आज की डेट में 3.5 लाख है, 3-3.5 लाख. And projections are that by 2030, end of the decade, which is not too far away, it may be 6 to 7 lakhs. You know, and इसमें कोई नया robotic कुछ नया नहीं हो रहा है. It is just inflation.
Procedure वही है.
Inflation. So we all keep talking about inflation. 5-6% inflation है इंडिया में. Medical inflation, however, is about, I would say on an average about 15% costs are going up year on year. तो अगर वो cost healthcare का बढ़ रहा है, तो I think you will also have.
So as somebody who's taking insurance, you have to make allowances for the fact that this insurance policy costs are likely to grow up year by year.
Yes.
Go up, right?
Yes.
Which means that, that leaves you in a slightly uncertain position, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But is there a possibility that you actually pay for 20 years or 30 years, fix that insurance policy for a certain period of time?
No, it's not. Today it doesn't exist like that. I think what you can do, however, is ensure that you buy a, if I may say so, more than necessary amount of coverage. You know, insurance companies typically हर 3-4 साल में अपना प्रीमियम्स बढ़ा देंगी. तो 2 रीजन आपके प्रीमियम बढ़ते हैं. एक तो एज, हाँ, because the health risk of somebody who's 30 and 45 is very different.
Correct.
So maybe you bought the policy when you were 35, but by the time you're 45, the premium will change because your risks on your health have increased, right? With age, they will increase. Second, they increase because of inflation.
Correct.
So there's no exact way to ensure कि कितना cover होना चाहिए, but maybe a thumb rule to apply is that if you can ask me personally, I'd buy as much I can afford. You know, I would rather flip the question. अगर मुझे peace of mind चाहिए, तो मैं अभी इसमें अपनी family के health के लिए I am not going to be कंजूस. There's no point. It can drain families.
Correct.
किसी को कैंसर हो जाए, you can wipe out your own, whole life savings. So trying to optimize this, मेरा 2-4 हज़ार रुपया बच जाए. अगर affordability है, तो I would strongly say that you should buy whatever you can afford, the maximum coverage, as early as possible.
I've been talking to a lot of financial planner guys and stuff like that who are saying that it is much, because in India it's not a very done thing. Like, for example, I know in the Western countries, insurance is a large part of their lives. In fact, people work specifically to show that their life insurance is covered even after retirement for a few years, so that they are insured for life. I know of a few people who do that because that's how important it is, because that's how costly the treatments are. But in India right now, it's le lo yaar, achhi baat hai, it's not such a compulsory thing, right?
Yeah.
But people are now getting into the habit of saying, let us get insured, because it's looking at younger people getting these disorders and diseases at a much younger age.
Yeah.
So the financial advisor are actually telling us that you should take an insurance policy as quickly as when you get out of college. Does that make sense to you when you say it? And what's the advantage of that? And how long should you take a coverage if?
Yeah, so I think this is very critical to buy it early.
It is.
Now whether early means out of college or as soon as you get married,
right,
it depends on the person, or as your parents are getting older.
Correct.
I'll tell you what the issue with not buying early is. Soon enough, is the worst case scenario of not buying is that अब आपको कुछ हो गया है. Okay, आप 35-40 के हो गए और आपको hardcore diabetes हो गया. होता है, like it's not an unheard of thing. Today I think we are the diabetes capital of the world.
Correct.
If you get a certain condition which is chronic and maybe severe, okay, which is maybe not that your life will stop, but you have now got a condition that you have to live with. The worst case scenario is कि आपको health insurance मिलेगी नहीं. आप जाइए 35-40 साल की उम्र में as a highly diabetic person, you may just be declined by every insurance company. Okay, now you are out cold on your own with all this medical inflation for life. क्योंकि आपको policy मिल ही नहीं रही है.
I see.
So buying early saves you from that. I have not yet had. There's a very important point actually.
So let me emphasize and reiterate this point.
Yeah.
What you're basically saying is, if you don't have a policy before you get into a PD or a pre-existing,
some condition,
whatever condition, then there are chances that when you try to do that at a much later age, when you already have these conditions and blown out of normal circumstances, That you will not get insurance at all from somebody.
Yeah. I have friends who have.
So this is very important here.
I have friends who at the age of 40 or something have kuch ho gaya. And because I am in the insurance industry, I keep getting WhatsApp messages कि कुछ हो सकता है क्या? नहीं मिल रहा. And this is not an old age problem.
Correct.
It is happening.
Correct.
You know, and they are struggling.
Yeah.
Okay. And they did not buy when they were 30 or 28.
This is
or
very
whatever,
important point. Yeah.
So that's your worst case scenario.
But actually, it's not a very rare case scenario.
It's not.
I mean, it's a worst case scenario, but I think that's something that everybody should think about right now.
Yeah.
Because the amount of disorders that are happening with the younger people right now is far more than it ever was in the history of
Lifestyle diseases are much faster. The stress,
yeah.
you know, maybe we're all eating out a lot more, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think it's different.
Yeah, I'm saying injuries apart, that is a different thing.
Yeah.
But disorders, and if you're not going to get an insurance, then this is going to be a big liability and a big responsibility.
Forever it's on your head.
For your hair, yeah. That's very important.
Second is your maybe medium bad case scenario is that you may get a policy, but it will be very expensive. Very expensive. मतलब जो चीज़ 10, 20, 15, 25 हज़ार में मिल रही है वो आपको लाख रुपए में मिलेगी. Like your premiums may be way out of proportion. It is not कि 20% बढ़ गया, 30% बढ़ गया. You may be paying even in lakhs, okay, a year. And the amount of coverage that you can get will be also limited. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको कोई 50 लाख 1 करोड़ का कवरेज दे देगा. You'll be saying अच्छा आप 3 लाख रुपया दीजिए और 8-10 लाख का कवरेज ले लीजिए. You know, so you may get something which is just barely sufficient. Barely, right? And again leaves you to a lot of risk. And third thing is that they may put many more conditions on your plan. I'll give you 2 common conditions that are put in a plan. One is called copay. Okay, I think this is a critical one to understand. India में कोई copay की बात नहीं करता. It's a good and a bad thing, and I'll explain how. Copay and deductible. These are 2 kinds of conditions that might be put, and they work for and against both. Copay means that जो भी bill है, we will pay together. That is co-payment. Okay, so you have a condition. I don't think as an insurance company I can carry the full risk of giving you a great plan. Okay, so I will say इस प्लान में मैं आपको इंश्योरेंस दे रहा हूँ लेकिन 20% कोपे है. दैट मीन्स अगर हॉस्पिटल का बिल 8 लाख रुपए आया तो 20% 1.6 lakhs यू हैव टू पे. आई विल पे ओनली 80% ऑलवेज.
ठीक है.
ओके, ये को पेमेंट इज मे बी अ वे टू फॉर द इंश्योरेंस कंपनी टू रिड्यूस द पे आउट, क्योंकि उनको मालूम है रिस्की है, क्लेम आने वाला है.
करेक्ट.
और ज़्यादा प्रोबेबिलिटी है क्लेम आने का, तो दे विल नेवर वांट टू कैरी द फुल रिस्क.
अंडरस्टूड.
ओके, दैट इज कॉल्ड अ को पेमेंट. The second condition that they might put is a deductible, which works differently. 8 लाख रुपए का बिल, पहला 2 लाख रुपए आप भरेंगे, 2 लाख रुपए के ऊपर बिल आएगा तो हम भरेंगे. Okay, so they are covering you for peak scenario.
Correct.
Okay, first 2 lakhs you pay out of your pocket. Okay, so deductible means कितना बिल का पार्ट डिडक्ट करके हम देंगे, वो आप खुद से भरिए या जैसे मर्जी भरिए, वो आपकी प्रॉब्लम है. So this is the 2 terms which are also misunderstood by people कि कोपे क्या है और डिडक्टिबल क्या है. Now these are the kind of conditions that might be put on you, but these are also, if you're conscious about them, in a positive scenario. मान लीजिए आपको कोई condition नहीं है, you can also opt for these things.
अच्छी बात.
To reduce your premium.
हाँ.
Okay, and maybe it's a smart thing to do. So for example, मुझे पता है यार my earning capacity is so much कि 1.5 लाख रुपए का बिल तो मैं संभाल लूँगा, लेकिन 5-6 लाख रुपया हो गया तो it is going to be problematic. So I may choose to say, okay, voluntarily, even though if I have no condition, saying I'm happy to take a 1 lakh deductible, that 1 lakh out of my pocket, on top of that is yours. So your premium drastically comes down.
It does?
It drastically
बहुत फर्क पड़ता है.
बहुत फर्क पड़ेगा.
हाँ, ये जानना जरूरी है.
So a lot of these conditions can come up.
Because one thing we have made clear is that if you can afford the best possible premium, go for it.
Yeah.
But the second best scenario is if you want to do copay or you want to do a deductible. Therefore, you get the same amount of treatment, but you pay slightly less.
You can cover for what is called peak risk, right?
Peak risk,
so एक इंडिया में ये भी प्रॉब्लम है, थोड़ा सा हमें लगता है कि if I have given money, I want full return.
Correct. Correct.
Which may not necessarily sometimes be the smartest choice.
Correct.
If I do believe कि 1-2 लाख रुपया मैं अपनी जेब से दे सकता हूँ, okay, और लेकिन मैं 10 लाख में मेरे को फाइट होने वाली है, तो maybe I have typhoid. I entered the hospital, or I had a small fracture. I'm saying all these smaller expenses I can manage on my own, but if God forbid I get cancer or a heart issue or some lung issue or a neurological issue, which can be chronic and large, then I need insurance to help me out.
Correct.
So I can say, I'll take a 1 lakh deductible and my premium may even come down by more than 50%. But all of this, if I may say so, is इतना planning life में करना नहीं पड़ेगा अगर थोड़ा जल्दी ले लो तो because then you have to, because when you buy it early, premiums are lower. Insurance companies are also not putting you through a lot of medical tests, not putting too many conditions on your plan. The minute you cross the age of 40, your health insurance process of obtaining a plan, ensuring that there are no conditions, how many tests that the insurance company puts you through, वो grueling हो जाता है.
When young girls join company, the company is already taking care of some part of their insurance, at least some basic coverage is already there.
Yeah.
So under those circumstances, what should the young person do?
Yeah, a lot of us, and I would say including I am guilty of it, we have always relied on कि ठीक है यार अभी कंपनी तो कवर दे रही है कुछ.
Exactly.
तो I am not like, I have some health insurance, right? Why should I buy? And I would say that because I've been working in this industry for a fairly long time, very educated, Harvard pass out हो या IIM, like very, very smart people have made this mistake of completely relying on their employer. Okay, there are 2-3 issues with it. I'll explain. You may have a very generous employer, okay, which is giving you very good coverage, but I can say 90% of all corporates in India will not give you a coverage of more than 5 lakh rupees. Okay, वो हम क्या कर रहे हैं as employees, we are saying that हाँ कंपनी का कवरेज है, क्या है कितना है मालूम नहीं है, कंपनी का है. But I can tell you, I think if anybody is listening to this podcast, please go and check. I'd be very surprised if your company is giving you more than 5 lakhs. More than 5 lakhs, okay. And 5 lakhs in today's day and age is abysmally low. Low, huh? Okay. And why do companies not give more than 5 lakhs? बहुत महंगा है. कंपनी के लिए खर्चा अपने एम्प्लॉइज के लिए 10 लाख 20 लाख 50 लाख.
टिपिकली ये 5 लाख का इंश्योरेंस कितना कॉस्ट करेगा टिपिकली
for a company to buy for their employees? Yeah, maybe about so companies don't cover only employees, they cover spouse and kids also usually, right? And will probably for this family unit 15,000 per employee per year.
That's all that they are actually liable
paying,
for.
Yeah, they are roughly paying 15,000-20,000 rupees. Again, थोड़ा plan construct पे भी depend करता है. What all facilities the corporate wants for its employees. But I think that's a broad average that I can say. So number one is that coverage is quite
insufficient.
Low.
Correct.
Not very sufficient. Second, connected to the buying early point. Let's say I am 25 years old. I start my career and maybe I've worked in 2-3 companies over next 10-15 years. I'm now 40 years old and I've always been relying on my company coverage. And let's say it's 1-2 claim आया, कुछ छोटा procedure हुआ and I've managed. And my company coverage has been, let's assume also 5 lakhs has been sufficient because I've been lucky, nothing really major happened. Now you're 40, okay. Now you're saying अच्छा थोड़ा भी retirement का सोचते हैं, मतलब अगले 10 साल कहाँ काम करना है, क्या करना है, like you're getting into that maybe a later part of your career and so on and so forth. And now you're saying, okay, I may not have an employer after 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, or maybe I just want to retire early or do something of my own. I need to now ensure that now I can't rely on my company coverage. Let me get a independent plan for myself, which is what we typically see. कि बहुत लोग हमारे पास आते हैं insurance लेने के लिए. They are usually in their late 30s or early 40s. Okay. अब problem ये है कि जब आप independent plan लेने आए हो मेरे पास या किसी इंश्योरेंस कंपनी के पास और आप 40 पार कर चुके हो, आप यू आर नॉट इन द पिंक ऑफ हेल्थ. एंड अगेन दो सेम इशू स्टार्ट, या तो महंगा मिल जाएगा या नहीं मिलेगा. एंड सो यू आर बैक टू द, बिकॉज यू बीन रिलाइंग ऑन समबडी एल्स एंड you have not independently bought something at 30 or 25. Now you are going in the market at 40.
So your legacy does not continue as a
your corporate plan legacy is not continuing because linked to your employer. You are changing employer, you are starting
so that is not portable.
That is not, usually not portable. And it is very difficult because the way a corporate buys a plan is for their employees and what suits their context.
Correct.
That is not the same plan that is available for an independent purchase.
So it's very important, like I'm sorry interrupting you over here, but because it's a very nodular point, it's very important for people who think that their company is covering them with insurance. That it is true, but it's very limited to what you can be covered for. and even though it does cover all your family. And secondly, you won't have a legacy of being an insurer, which
Yeah.
means that by the time you decide to leave the company or start off on your own, you're literally starting off from being with that waiting period as
I
well.
have seen people not take the, so 40 is also maybe a little young to think about retirement. I have met people who have now in the last leg of their career, maybe they're 50 years old, and suddenly realizing मेरे पास insurance तो है नहीं 50 साल की उम्र में, and अब आओ आप 50 साल की उम्र में लेने, आपका premium will be skyrocketing, your half the conditions will not be covered, and you are left out in the cold. So relying on your company is good. I'm not. It's not a bad thing. This is where your
Top up की बात कर रहा था.
top up or deductible comes into play.
Right.
So one thing you can do, for example, is let's say your company is giving you 5 lakh. So we spoke about deductible. So you can go and buy an independent plan which covers you beyond 5 lakhs.
Okay.
Because now let's say there's a peak issue. 8 लाख 10 लाख का बिल आ गया, पहले 5 लाख कंपनी की इंश्योरेंस ने दे दिए और 5 लाख के ऊपर your independent plan comes in, kicks in.
So again, I'm going to punch this point in, so that you can actually go to another insurer. It doesn't have to be the
No, it
same
doesn't have
insurer.
to be.
You can go to another insurer and say a deductible
Yeah.
of over and above what the company is covering,
Yes, and
so
you
that
can
you're
choose.
safe.
Yeah.
God forbid your billing is higher.
And you're also building your history
Correct.
with the insurance company. अब मान लीजिए you're
That's very
45,
important,
45 and you've decided to quit and do some freelancing or whatever it is. At that point in time, वो first 5 lakhs का cover जो company दे रही थी वो तो चला गया because you've quit. You can at that point go and say, okay, now I just don't want the deductible one. I want the first 5 lakhs and pay a little extra.
In which case, your waiting period is also taken care of.
Okay, because you spend enough time with the.
This is something that we read to reiterate, because all these new guys are going into startups and everything. The excitement of getting on your own is all there. But suddenly you realize you come down with a health issue, and all the funds you put across has now been used for your health issue instead of for your startup. This is really important, and I think that having a separate insurance apart from your
employer is very
insurance,
critical. It may be a top up, which is deductible plan, or it may be an independent plan. My advice, if any, is that just go for the full plan also if you can. A little extra on your family and your family's health.
Correct.
We spend a lot of money in all of us
man,
spend a
if you
lot
look
of
at the price you're
frivolous things.
Yeah,
so you can.
Suppose you take an insurance from a certain company, okay, and you've been with them for 4 or 5 years, for instance, and after that you want to change to another company, or you probably move to another country or something like that. Does this can you carry over all that you've paid in one company, that reputation of saying not claimed, or lived through the initial period of time? All that, can you actually port it to another company as far as health insurance is concerned?
Yeah, you can. So not some people may have heard about it. जैसे mobile phone number आप port कर सकते हो from one provider to another provider. You can also port your health insurance from.
We know we can do that in the life insurance, but even in health?
I'm not sure actually life में होता है कि नहीं, but health I'm 100% sure that it is doable. It's the law.
Okay.
The regulator.
Oh, it is a law.
It is a law that
even if you go to different countries and all that?
I think it works within India.
Within the country.
Within the country, it will not work across borders because healthcare systems are different, everything is different.
Correct.
So let me explain this. So ये हमने waiting period की बात करी अभी.
Correct.
और आपके प्लान में कुछ चीज़ें मान लीजिए 2-4 साल के लिए नहीं कवर्ड है, as we discussed. और मान लीजिए आप इंश्योरेंस कंपनी A में वो 2-4 साल निकाल चुके हैं. अब आपको लग रहा है कि प्रीमियम बढ़ गया है, या I don't like the service of this company, or a better plan has come in the market. I want to shift. And when I shift, those waiting periods will be applied again. वो 3-4 साल तो आपने काटे थे. And now your policy had no conditions which are not covered because you have now spent that 3-4 years. This is the biggest benefit of porting. So you can simply go ahead and buy a new plan and not not port. This is saying कि ठीक है मेरे पास एक policy है, अब मैंने दूसरी एक जाके ले ली.
Without even being aware that this
exists. Okay.
Correct.
So नई company में अगर waiting period है, in the new company, they'll start all over again.
Understood.
So if you go through the process of porting, which is you go to your new insurance company that you want to buy from, show them your old policy and show them that मेरा कोई claim नहीं है और मेरे 3-4 साल में waiting period बिता चुका हूँ इसमें. I'm done with waiting for my benefits that have accrued now. They will give you a plan. They have to rather. They will give you a plan which does not have waiting period.
Waiting
so you
periods.
have carried forward
Right.
that benefit in some sense. So what the law is trying to do is that you're not stuck with one insurance company or one particular plan for your life, because it's a long-term situation, right? So if there are better plans in the market, cheaper plans in the market, and you are only stuck कि waiting period फिर शुरू हो जाएगा, and again I might be without cover for a few conditions for another 3-4 years. So the customer should not be stuck.
Yeah, so this awareness has to be punched in that you can port and you should port, and
if you're not happy with something or you want something better, you should ideally.
I mean, if you decided to switch, then you have to make sure that you inform you should port.
Our generation also, forget our parents' generation. Our generation is also not fully aware, and we're having this conversation how people are making these, small mistakes about not planning for their health. Our parents' generation was more unaware. तो उनको तो आइडिया ही नहीं था कि ये सब करना है, या काफ़ी लोग सरकारी जॉब्स में थे जहाँ कुछ सरकारी कवर दे देती थी, CGHS एंड you have this central government health scheme and this and that, कुछ ना कुछ चलता रहता. So they were kind of half reliant here or there. But again, very similar, people don't plan for their parents, and unfortunately our parents are from a generation where financial awareness was even lower than it is today.
Correct.
So उन्होंने तो independently वो decision बहुत कम लोगों ने लिया है. Very rare that they have actually. I would say in my friend circle, not more than 10% of parents have planned for their own insurance.
Correct.
Now the kids are responsible. They are the earning members. As your parents are getting older, कुछ ना कुछ होने वाला है.
So how do you insure your parents also?
Again, it comes down to, so plans are available in which you can buy. So it is partly age dependent, let me put it this way. So if it's very difficult to get a plan for your parents if they've crossed the age of 70, okay, very difficult or very expensive. It's not impossible, but you'll be like, यार मैं 2 लाख रुपए दे रहा हूँ और मुझे 4 लाख का कवर दे रहे हैं, मतलब ऐसा कुछ मिलेगा.
मैं समझ गया.
So and in 9 out of 10 cases you may not get it. So one is, I would roughly take, again it's the same thing with parents also, early is better. If you are 30 and your parents are 55, 60, तो ले लो. Don't get to a point where your parents are 75 and all that, मिलेगा ही नहीं आपको, या बहुत मुश्किल से मिलेगा, because there's almost a guaranteed claim. Look at it from, okay, let me put it, I'm an insurance company, let me put it from my side. Like, insurance companies have to, the only way they can continue to pay genuine claims is that they have to first survive as an insurance company, right? If I know everybody who's buying from me is likely to claim, मैं तो दे ही नहीं पाऊंगा. So 70 के ऊपर बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है insurance देना.
So this is another point that I'd like to punch in for youngsters. You have the interest of your parents in mind and heart all the time, and eventually health is going to become an issue. So it's better to get your parents insured at a much earlier stage in their lives, so that they actually A, get insured, B, that they're covered, and so the burden of their expenses is not too much on you. And third is that you're actually free to not worry about your parents becoming 70 years old and not having an insurance at all, in which the entire health burden comes on to you and you can't do anything about it.
It's crippling.
Yeah, it's crippling, absolutely. That's the word.
5 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs.
So for a middle class, that's almost a death knell. Buying for a family with no history of illness, they should still buy, right? Obviously, like we just discussed this.
Yeah. So so when you say family, you mean along with the parents and all of that? Yeah. So इसमें भी एक nuance है. Let me. So there are two choices, right? Like you can, and both are right and wrong, and I'll probably double click on it. You can buy a plan today which covers, let's assume your parents are under 70 and they're insurable, right? Like in some sense. Now you have two choices. Should you buy an independent plan for them, or should you try and cover them in your own plan?
Correct.
Now this is a very critical choice, right? What happens is that the way an insurance company usually prices a product, कि इस family को 10,000 में देना है या 20,000 में देना है या 30,000 में देना है, is lot of that decision of that insurance company depends on the age of the eldest person in the family.
Oh.
Okay. So if I'm 35, let's say, I'm not, but let's say I'm 35, my wife is also, let's say, early 30s, my parents are 60 or whatever it is, the weight of कितना मैं भरूंगा is dependent on whether my father is 65 or 60 or or whatever it is. So usually what tends to happen is that your insurance with your parents in the same plan tends to get a little more expensive. Okay. So you can choose to unbundle, which is not having your own plan. Your nuclear family can be a separate plan, and you can buy a separate plan for your parents. Having said that, the other option is that there are now companies or policies available where they do not try to put the price of the policy just depending on the eldest member. They have started to become more advanced.
Understood.
And say कि ये nuclear family का rate है, ये parents का rate है A+B, so I'm not going to inflate the entire policy.
Right.
I'm not going to charge much higher for the entire policy because the family construct is such that the eldest member is a lot older.
Correct.
So that's a choice that you need to make. Where
well, it's good to be aware of this.
It's good to be aware that you can do both.
Right.
And if your policy covers your parents and it's all managed well within one unit and it's not super expensive, you may go for the same construct. But for, let's assume your parents have lots of health conditions. Then the policy becomes very expensive for your nuclear family also. Then in that case, it is better maybe to unbundle it and say कि चलो उनके लिए मैं एक different plan ले लेता हूँ, and let me not increase my rate by putting them in the same
so
plan.
what I understand from this, Varun, is that everybody, every family should at least spend one day in a year to sit, analyze exactly how they are health-wise and what sort of policy to be taken, go through the policies properly and make sure that they make that right decision for the entire family and spend that much time doing it. Because I hardly see this being a conversation in the families at all, and I think this is very...
कौन सा लेना है उस पे तो होता है conversation.
हाँ, कि यार superstition है कि why are you inviting bad news, But like you said, when we write a will, it almost feels like we are writing our own death warrant, but it's as essential as...
So I would say, given the costs of how medical inflation is happening, your parents' health conditions are changing over a period of time. I think it's maybe not every year, but I would try and see if every 4 to 5 years I give it a serious evaluation.
I think half a day in a year is hardly. I mean, just analyzing and saying, are we on the right path? Are we all covered? Is an important decision. Absolutely. It's hardly, it's a family over the dinner conversation that needs to be followed up and finished off. I don't think anybody. I don't think I did it till a long time. Which I think the youngsters should look into very clearly. Why is it such a tedious process? I mean, if that lurking fear is always there, then the whole futility of the exercise comes to the forefront. How do we solve that? Or what are the reasons why they get rejected at times?
Interesting question. इसमें बहुत सारे reasons हैं. Let's say, like you rightly said, like somebody's been careful, made all the right choices, room rent देख लिया, ये देख लिया, वो देख लिया, सब कुछ देख लिया. And we hear of horror stories that मेरे पैसे नहीं मिले या reject हो गया claim, and then you're running from pillar to post. So usually I would say insurance companies do not like to reject claims. Okay, so firstly, I wouldn't say that the insurance companies have a habit or a stated strategic objective to say कि claim काट दो. Two reasons for that. One is that the regulator, the law in India is fairly strong, and you have to continue to report to the regulator, the insurance regulator. जैसे RBI है, वैसे insurance का भी एक regulator है. वो banking regulator है, Reserve Bank of India. There is IRDA, which is Insurance Regulatory Development Authority. So insurance companies are supposed to report how many claims they've rejected, why they've rejected, and
very important point for us to know.
So it's not that this narrative of saying कि insurance companies काटती है, थोड़ा truth है, but थोड़ा false भी है.
पर उनको उसको justify करना पड़ेगा.
उनको justify करना पड़ता है. So it's not like कि free fund है, नहीं मन देने का तो नहीं दिया मैंने. So one is
that's something very important for the people to know.
So one is that. Within that, are there companies who are more customer friendly, less customer friendly? Yeah, the answer is always there. But ऐसा नहीं है कि they are out to get you.
Correct.
In some sense. Second reason, I think customers make if they've not looked at these 3-4 situations, which we spoke about, the room rent, copay, waiting period, ये जो 5-6 important things that we've spoken about, तो लोग प्लान ले लेते हैं बिना देखे, या अपने किसी पुराने एजेंट या बैंक मैनेजर पे ट्रस्ट है, तो उसने बोला सर ये बहुत अच्छा प्लान है, आप ले लीजिए. अच्छा है जी, हाँ बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत अच्छा है, आप ले लीजिए, आपने तो देखा नहीं उसके अंदर है क्या, ओके, बिकॉज you did not want to put your mind, you thought it was too complicated or whatever it is, and you have now landed up at the hospital assuming you have health insurance, and then you are in for a rude shock. I went to the wrong room, ये हो गया, वो हो गया, पूरे पैसे नहीं मिले, या मेरा तो ये कंडीशन वेटिंग पीरियड में था तो बिल ही नहीं मिला, क्लेम ही नहीं मिला. So I think first most elementary mistake or basic mistake people make is they start, let me put it this way, you know, when you're in the hospital or somebody in your family is in the hospital, logic goes for a toss. Okay, that time you are very emotional.
Correct.
Okay, कि ये है you know villain company और ये मेरा पैसा काट रही है. Okay, now the company may be behaving stringently, saying, hey, you are not understanding what you have bought. You know, and they have to follow the terms and conditions. Let me also explain this. Like insurance policy is a contract. तो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी आपको ना एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बेच रही है, एक लीगल पीस ऑफ पेपर कि अगर ये हुआ और ऐसे ऐसे कंडीशंस में हुआ तो मैं आपको इतने पैसे दूंगा. ओके, आप इमोशनल हैं, डजंट मीन दैट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कैन यू नो बी चेंज्ड. ओके, दैट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट and also insurance companies, can they be more generous? I can tell you a lot of companies including ACKO, we try to err on the side of being generous. Helpful. Okay, ठीक है यार, छोटा पॉइंट मिस हो गया, let's not you know. Yeah. But by and large, we are also audited. You know, we cannot be doling out money just because we felt bad for someone.
Correct.
Okay. Otherwise, जो genuine वाला आदमी है, उसका पैसा तो काट के मैंने आपको दे दिया. You know, in some sense. So that is number one reason, that understanding your contract. Okay, what is covered, what is not covered, paying some attention to it will land you in a situation where you are not emotionally reacting to कि मेरा पैसा नहीं मिला. That's number one. Number two, the biggest mistake that people make, sometimes they are misguided, careless, or to the extreme fraudulent. Okay, is that I do not, मेरे को डायबिटीज़ है या हाइपरटेंशन है या मैं स्मोकर हूँ, और मैंने इंश्योरेंस कंपनी जब आप खरीदते हैं ना, when you're buying a plan, they ask you all these questions.
For the declarations.
They also do doctor calls. Sometimes they put you through a test.
Yes.
But none of these methods are 100% reliable, even for the insurance company.
Are a testimony of your current health.
As a test, कुछ ना कुछ तो मिस हो ही जाता है.
Right.
Okay. Otherwise, if I have to test everything, the test itself will take 1 lakh rupees to do.
Correct.
You know, मेरे को कैंसर भी टेस्ट करना है, ये भी टेस्ट करना है.
Correct.
You know, so they do some basic tests, basic declaration. Let's understand this, right? So let's understand the law. I think if all of us as consumers and insurance companies understand the law, I think we all have to operate under a framework of the law. So the law says that insurance is a contract between the customer and the insurance company of utmost good faith.
Oh.
Okay. What does utmost good faith mean? That जो मुझे customer बोल रहा है, I'm taking it on good faith. Because I can continue to keep checking कि आप सच बोल रहे हो कि झूठ बोल रहे हो. Let's say you're a smoker and you उसमें declaration में आता है while buying that, you know, do you smoke? You can say no. Okay. Let's say you enjoy an occasional cigarette at a party and you can say no. Okay. अब आपका कुछ claim आ गया. Okay. Let's say it's not even related to smoking. Okay. It's something else only. Okay. But you have violated the principle. The principle of the contract was आपको good faith में whatever you told me, I have assumed it to be true.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have violated the contract by not declaring that you are a smoker. Insurance company can treat this as a violation of contract and cancel the policy. कि भैया हम नहीं देंगे आपको क्लेम, क्योंकि आपने utmost good faith में जो मेरे को declaration,
एक पॉइंट में भी झूठ बोला,
झूठ नहीं बोलना है.
हाँ, मतलब एक पॉइंट में भी झूठ बोला तो सारा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट void है. I can. मैं समझ गया. हाँ.
Actually क्या होता है, I'll tell you, if it is, let's say I had a fracture and I didn't declare I was a smoker, non-related.
Correct.
So companies may take a generous view. कि ठीक है यार, you know, like, okay, small misdeclaration. It's called a misdeclaration. You have declared wrongly. Because debatable है, यार मैं पीता था, मैंने छोड़ दी, ये हो गया, वो हो गया, like lots of gray areas, right?
Yeah.
So companies may take a maybe more liberal view.
Right.
But there are situations in which companies can take a very stringent view because they are not violating the contract. तो आप consumer court भी जाइए तो आप हार जाएंगे.
Correct.
Because the court understands this, it's a contract of utmost good faith.
Correct.
So the court will opine on the law. वो बोलेगा कि आपने झूठ बोला, misdeclare किया, तो company has its full right to decline the claim.
Right.
So the most important thing while you're buying and why people, claims get rejected is they either miss sharing intentfully or unintentionally. या कभी कभी मिसगाइडेंस में क्या होता है, आपने अगर हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी लिया है तो कितनी बार, मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ सबसे, ऑडियंस से भी, जो भी देख रहा है, कितनी बार वो फॉर्म खुद भरा है? नहीं भरते हैं, आपका एजेंट भरता है और आप साइन करते हैं, या आपको पेमेंट लिंक भेजता है और आप पेमेंट कर देते हैं, और आई एग्री TNC एवरीथिंग इज ओके डन। ओके, अब वो एजेंट ने आपसे बैठ के आपकी हेल्थ कंडीशन समझ के फॉर्म सही से भरा है नहीं भरा है किसको मालूम है?
करेक्ट।
ओके, आई एम नॉट सेइंग ऑल एजेंट्स डू दिस, बट सम डू दिस कि हाँ सर सब ठीक है, नो डू यू हैव एनी कंडीशन, नो, आपको सर कोई मेजर प्रॉब्लम है क्या? नो। ओके, तो ही विल ऑल्सो वेगली आस्क यू, वेगली सब काम हो रहा है, एंड देन यू हिट द हॉस्पिटल एंड देन से अरे आपको तो हाइपरटेंशन है, आपने बताया नहीं, एंड देन द होल थिंग गोज फॉर अ toss. Okay.
Correct.
So 2 big reasons why people run from pillar to post and their claims get rejected is that they have not understood their policy only, because they have relied fully on somebody else कि क्या था, waiting period क्या था, room मेरा क्या allowed था, क्या नहीं allowed था, वो देखा नहीं मैंने ध्यान से. And the second is I have lied on the application form. Okay. If you have done these 2 things correctly, it is very difficult for an insurance company to reject your claim.
Correct.
It is almost next to
impossible. Like you said correctly, and at the beginning of this particular topic, that the government is regulating, and the insurance company has to justify all the claims that it is rejected, and
we have
the
to
reason
fully
for
justify.
It. You have to fully justify. So it's not in their interest to cheat an insurer.
And there are penalties put on companies, financial penalties put on companies. So ऐसा नहीं है कि I can go scot free if a company is rejecting claims without valid reasons. The regulator can fine me. There is something called ombudsman, which is you can go to something which is insurance का consumer court समझिए आप.
मैं समझ गया.
Which is called the insurance ombudsman. उसका भी details are available freely online. You can complain there. Of course, you can go to court, High Court, Supreme Court. You can go wherever. And we have seen where there was not enough valid reason to reject a claim. Companies have been asked to not only pay the claim but pay heavy penalties with interest.
Wow.
Okay. By the government or the regulator or the court. So companies are careful. Okay, my case has to be strong. If I am rejecting. So I would say, as much as are there bad actors everywhere? कि चलो यार थोड़ा कम पैसा दे देते हैं, देखते हैं क्या होता है. I think all of bad actors exist in every industry, in every situation. But by and large, I would say that the companies are careful about having enough solid evidence to prove that you misdeclared.
So how do I evaluate which is a good company? I mean, I know that in good faith we are signing up.
Yeah.
What are the parameters of deciding which is a good company to go with?
It's a tough question because there's no straight answer. Companies are all competing. They're all trying to bring in better propositions for the customer to get more market share, and the best plan can keep changing. I think if we go back to, I think more than the evaluating the company, we'll come to the company in a second. Is I would say, this decision of deciding which plan, which company. Are you outsourcing this decision, or are you taking this decision on your own? I think that's I think the first onus is on us as people to not take a frivolous or careless decision about our own and our family's health.
It's more of an impatient decision कि यार ये सब कौन करेगा, करा दो अब कर रहा बंदा.
हाँ, लेकिन हम I keep saying this internally with our team and my friends that I meet, just because I'm attached to the subject. It's like हम iPhone का हर feature देखना चाहते हैं कि इसमें क्या वो है. We are happy to learn about all the new gadgets and all the materialistic stuff, but anything which is not here and now, आज मुझे नहीं इम्पैक्ट कर रहा है, मैं अपना फ्यूचर का प्लानिंग कर रहा हूँ, मैं ध्यान नहीं दे रहा हूँ. सो आई थिंक माई फर्स्ट recommendation, if any, before even going to the plan or the company or whatever it is to spend, and I don't think it takes more than an hour or two to get the right advice.
Correct.
And after you've got the right advice, hopefully right advice, verify it with your own research.
Correct.
Okay. To say that, hey, मेरा room rent का तो problem नहीं है इसमें ये top 3-4 things, right? Like I said, you don't have to, you can educate yourself about the 50, 60, 70% most important things. You don't have to educate yourself with the every legal line in that policy.
Correct.
Okay. So it's not as complicated if you say there are top 3-4 things. It's important to understand what those top 3-4 things are, which we spoke about. So not outsourcing this decision to somebody else. See, I'm not saying agents are or brokers or your bank manager or whoever is selling your policy does not have the right intent. You know, they may be having the right intent, but let's understand how careful as a third party am I going to be to understand your family's health context.
Correct.
Maybe I'm careful, maybe I'm careless, maybe there are some good advisors who are going to go through every minute detail to ensure you get the right thing. Some are going to do a superficial job at it.
Correct.
Okay. Intent galat nahi hai. They have also not imagined what all could go wrong. But it is in your interest and your family's interest to be very careful with these choices. So take the right advice from whoever you want, but at least double check, verify on these top 2-3 things. Now coming to which plan and which company that you should go for. I think first most important thing to understand is every company is regulated. So no company is good or no company is bad. Ye company mera paisa degi, nahi degi. Everybody is under the same law. Like I said, they have to report.
It's very important.
They have to report why they are rejecting claims, why they're not rejecting claims, and so on and so forth. So no company is going to be frivolous with that decision. Number one, at the hygiene level. Second, once you've done that, there is some reputation some companies carry. It's the second thing, okay, before I go to the reputation, second thing that the regulator looks at is the company financially strong? Okay. So if any insurance company that is operating in India today, okay, under the law, are all financially strong. Okay. Otherwise, regulator और गवर्नमेंट उनको ऑपरेट ही नहीं करने देती. ओके. या उनको वो बोलेंगे आप नया बिजनेस, नए कस्टमर्स नहीं कर सकते आप बिकॉज योर बैलेंस शीट इज नॉट स्ट्रॉन्ग.
करेक्ट.
यू डोंट हैव द कैपेसिटी टू पे क्लेम्स. अब कोविड आया था, लाखों क्लेम आए. वी डिड नॉट हियर ऑफ एनी इंश्योरेंस कंपनी गोइंग बस्ट इन इंडिया.
Correct.
ये बर्बाद हो गई.
Which is a good news.
Which is good news. So the law in India is strong. So first thing I would say to anybody is don't worry. If that's an operating insurance company in India, under the law, all those things have been checked for you.
Correct.
The fact that वो financially strong है, आपका claim देने की capacity रखती है वो company, all of this has already been pre-checked for you by the government. So I would not say a company is bad or good or financially strong or not strong. So any company you choose, at least these 1 or 2 basic things you should not worry about. Then it comes to, is the plan meeting all your conditions? Let's say I have a requirement that I do not want any restriction on my room. भाई मेरे को suite में जाना है तो जाना है. Let's say that's my. Then I should go down to and say which are the policies which allow me to have these 3-4 things which are important to me. Okay, I don't want a room rent limit. I don't want complicated waiting periods. I want simple stuff. These are 2-3 things that are important to me. So you narrow down to saying, okay, there are these 3-4 things are important. These plans, maybe there are 10 plans or 5 plans in the market which meet all my requirements. Once you've done that, then there's a preference of a company. Is to say, यार largely social media पे ठीक लग रहा है, ये company में easy है operate करने को, seems like a responsive company, the process is easy, I have heard good ethical things about this company. Then it's a little bit of personal preference. It's saying that whether I want a Samsung TV or a Sony TV, technology तो दोनों की अच्छी है.
Correct.
But I like Sony the brand, like for example, or I have more faith, or my car insurance is already with this insurance company and I have more comfort managing it, with one insurer than with other insurers. Also, if you have more plans with the same company, you also get some discounts, because companies want to drive loyalty, So I think most important firstly is to select the plan, because financial stability of an insurance company and the fact that they have to justify why they are rejecting claims is kind of being taken care of you by the government. You pick the right features that you need, what is important, and then I think I would say it becomes a little bit of a personal preference after that which company's reputation you have more comfort on.
So in my opinion, I would be very happy looking for a company that I can just call. It has a helpline and I'll say, hey, I'm heading to the hospital. मेरे को क्या-क्या allowed है, क्या-क्या allowed नहीं है, मेरे को अभी बोल दे यार. So that when I go there, I can tell the hospital that this is what I want.
That's a very important point. I think you mentioned it.
Because nobody carries a policy with them all the time.
Yeah. So policy. So nowadays, the touchwood, it's all
On
digital.
apps,
All apps. So your policy and all that is there. Or those numbers are QR codes. All of those things are available. I think the claims में थोड़ा claim के time ना लोग गलती करते हैं थोड़ा सा. And then I'll probably and why the process at the hospital seems so tedious.
Correct. The long waiting period.
Yeah. So mostly when we end up going to the hospital, there's this cashless insurance desk. You have to go to the hospital, and वहाँ पर आपको एक approval मिलता है कि the insurance company is authorized cashless. Okay, क्या आप भर्ती हो जाइए अब, पैसा insurance company देगी, आपको deposit देने की जरूरत नहीं है. Okay, now this process, which is technically called cashless authorization. Cashless मतलब आपके लिए cashless है, पीछे से insurance company पैसा भर रही है. The insurance company has to authorize that this is a valid claim, and now I'm giving the hospital the comfort कि पैसा मैं भरने वाला हूँ, भाई इसको भर्ती कर लो. Just take this guy in and start the treatment. Don't ask for a deposit because I have authorized.
Correct.
He has an insurance policy. Now the mistake that people make is forget the fact that I might have bought the wrong policy or whatever. Let's assume I bought all the right policy, everything is covered and all that. But now I'm talking about the actual process. When you are at the hospital. I think the small mistake, I wouldn't call it a mistake. I would say that something that you can do to ease that situation is that, देखो अगर accident हो जाए, somebody has, let's say, a COVID complication or whatever it is, and it's a super emergency. Like you are deciding in the minute कि अब hospital भागना है. It's difficult to plan, difficult to get all these things right. But if I look at the data, 85-90% of all hospitalization in India, or for all of us, is planned. Rare accident and all that, वो planned होता है. कि आप गए डॉक्टर के पास, उसने बोला कि ये प्रॉब्लम है, अपेंडिक्स आपका ये है, या ये हो गया, या आई थिंक आपको एंजियो कराना पड़ेगा, या हार्ट में we see blockage or this, that, whatever it is. It's a series of consultations for over maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, whatever it is, which is saying, okay, now there's a planned hospitalization, and you are trying to select the hospital, the doctor, and figure out the room, and okay, I'm going to go on XY date. Okay. Now the mistake that people make is that in this entire process that now I'm going to go to the hospital, they just do not talk to the insurance company. Okay. तो जब वो पहुंचते हैं वहाँ बिलिंग डेस्क पे, तब इंश्योरेंस कंपनी को पता लगता है कि ये तो हमारा कस्टमर भाई साहब वहाँ पहुंच गया. ओके, एंड नाउ एवरीथिंग इज insurance company is now forced to decide validity, claim सही है, policy क्या है at that moment.
At that moment, very quick time.
Very quick time. अब कई बारी, अब कोविड का एग्जांपल ले लीजिए, lakhs of claims were coming in, तो आपका तो डिले होने ही वाला है.
Correct.
Okay, चलो that's an emergency situation. Now there could be better way to handle this is if it's a planned thing, please inform your insurance company 3, 4, 5 days in advance that I'm planning a hospitalization in ABC hospital. Okay. The first thing that the insurance company may confirm to you is कि इस particular hospital में हमारा cashless facility है कि नहीं.
है कि नहीं. हाँ.
Okay. Lot of people even discover कि इस कंपनी का तो इस हॉस्पिटल के साथ टाई अप ही नहीं है.
टाई अप ही नहीं है. हाँ.
Okay. Rarely होता है, but होता है. तो that's a discovery at that last minute, and now I'm supposed to shell out my debit card, credit card,
right.
and I start, feeling
panicking.
the pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, and panicking. So if you end up informing the insurance company 3-4 days, at least for planned stuff, emergency में तो चलो कुछ नहीं कर सकते हो, but saying hey, I am planning. So first thing, this hospital is in your tied up list or network. Then that gives me one comfort. I am going for this condition. These are my consultation papers. आपने पहले ही insurance company को दे दिया. Now the insurance company has had ample time to quickly go through it and may even authorize you even before you land there.
Very good.
Okay. So I think so we are inviting trouble by missing this,
process.
Missing this step. Even if you have to go for a vacation, you plan.
Correct.
So why not do this little bit of, planning while before going? So this ensures that point that when you reach the hospital,
there are no shocks.
There are no shocks, or
Correct.
you are not trying to handle it at that point in time. There are some things which will still remain unsolved. I think the industry, hospitals, all of us have to come together to figure out, इसका क्या करना है. Like this is one of the, challenges that we are attempting to solve. That and I'm sure all of us have heard about this. कि ठीक है आपका procedure हो गया, cashless हो गया. डॉक्टर ने आपको डिस्चार्ज कर दिया, okay, free to go home, and now you want to rush home, because nobody wants to be in the hospital. So एक है entry point पे हमने बताया कि like you should try and pre-inform as much as possible. Now exit point की बात करते हैं. In that exit point, I think what happens is if the doctor tells you at 10 in the morning कि अब आप जा सकते हैं, you are free to go, डॉक्टर बिलिंग नहीं करता है, वो ओके करके अपना he is gone. Now you are waiting for the admin team of the hospital to clear your billing and let you go. And average in India is 5 to 6 hours, you know, of releasing you from the hospital. The reason why this happens is, let's understand this, and you know, इसका कुछ कर नहीं सकते, but I think it will be important for all of us to understand why this happens. You know, दो रीज़न है इसके. एक है कि आई डोंट नो इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट हॉस्पिटल बिलिंग सिस्टम्स डिपार्टमेंट बाय डिपार्टमेंट होते हैं, यू नो. सो आपने मान लीजिए MRI कराया एज वन ऑफ द tests before some surgical procedure happened or some intervention happened. Yeah, maybe the 1 week you were in the hospital, you know, there was a nutritionist appointed कि आप क्या खा सकते हैं, क्या नहीं खा सकते हैं, and all that. These are all different departments. There's a lab department, radiology department, nutrition department, you know. और उन्होंने आपके साथ क्या क्या इंटरवेंशन किया है वो अपना नोट करते रहते हैं, अपने सिस्टम्स में नोट करते रहते हैं. तो पहले तो हॉस्पिटल को 2-3 घंटे लगते हैं ये सारे डिपार्टमेंट्स का बिलिंग एसिमुलेट करने के लिए. एंड दे आर नॉट हैंडलिंग यू, राइट, दे आर हैंडलिंग हंड्रेड्स ऑफ, यू नो, हंड्रेड्स ऑफ पेशेंट्स. सो 2-3 घंटे उसमें लग गए कि आपका टोटल बिल A plus B plus C plus D plus doctor visit charges plus this plus that करते करते that, you know, it takes maybe 2-3 hours. Let's say that bill is about 2-3 lakh rupees. Okay. Now इंश्योरेंस केस है, अगर आप बिना इंश्योरेंस के वहाँ गए हैं तो आपको बोलेंगे अच्छा ये आपका टोटल बिल है, आप पैसे दीजिए और जाइए. Let's say it's an insurance case, तो hospital has a problem. Not a problem, I would call it another step to solve.
Step to solve, हाँ.
इसके इंश्योरेंस कंपनी मुझे कितना देगी? पूरा देगी? कि कुछ इस पर्टिकुलर कस्टमर की या पेशेंट की पॉलिसी में सम थिंग्स आर नॉट कवर्ड. ओके, लाइक आई सेड, राइट, वी डिस्कस कंज्यूमेबल्स. वो कंज्यूमेबल्स, ग्लव, सिरिंज, ये वो का,
even if it's a co-paid or whatever,
whatever it is, it has to ascertain. हॉस्पिटल को डिसाइड करना है कि कितना मेरे को इंश्योरेंस कंपनी से लेना है और कितना मेरे को पेशेंट से लेना है.
अंडरस्टूड.
तो वो पूरा बिलिंग बना के इंश्योरेंस कंपनी को भेज देता है. फिर इंश्योरेंस कंपनी उसको प्रोसेस करती है कि ये 3 लाख का बिल है, इसमें से 2.5 lakhs इज माई लाइबिलिटी, आई हैव टू पे, सो प्लीज कलेक्ट 50,000 फ्रॉम द पेशेंट ऑन एग्जिट. ओके, अब फर्स्ट हॉस्पिटल इज टेकन 2-3 hours to prepare the bill, and then the insurance company is taken 2-3 hours to decide how much I will pay, how much the patient will pay.
It's very good to know this.
So this is the thing that takes 5-6 hours. I don't think we can at this moment, you know, solve this problem, but maybe the only small thing to do, you know, is to try and understand what is covered, what is not covered quickly, and, you know, as soon as the billing is done, start having a look at that particular thing, that what is going to be my liability.
Yeah, but irrespective,
it's going to take time. It's going to take time. I think we are all, there's an initiative by the government to try and ease this out. All of us are being put on similar systems. I think I'll maybe spend 1 or 2 minutes on this. The government and the regulator are creating something called a health claims exchange. A single system which operates between all insurance companies and hospitals. आज ये systems भी अलग-अलग है. हाँ. तो और टाइम लगता है. वो किस फॉर्मेट में डेटा आता है, फिर इंश्योरेंस कंपनी अपने फॉर्मेट में डाल के देखती है, सब अलग अलग है, बिकॉज द सिस्टम्स आर नॉट connected. And I'll tell you, this is not the case in India, this is all over the world. So a good step that is happening in India is that there is something called a health claims exchange, which is being developed today, where insurance companies and hospitals get on the same systems in terms of exchanging medical information and billing information.
So this happens while the treatment is happening, yeah.
Faster. It'll not fully make 5 hours, 30 minutes, but it won't at least take half a day.
Understood.
So all of us are on the same systems, the data can be read, and it's easy.
It's a good thing to be aware. At least you know what is happening, why the hospital is taking so long. Yeah, I mean, that was so in-depth and highly informative. I thought I was fairly well informed, but a lot of things that we discussed right now was actually quite an eye-opener for me as well. You know, the fact that one has to spend at least a proper amount of time before you decide what sort of an insurance policy to take. More importantly, how early one should take, what sort of coverage there is, what is the waiting period. More importantly, when you're covering it with your family, what are the things to consider? Should you bifurcate it? Should you take your satellite family separately or include your parents, depending on what your company is giving? I mean, highly informative, and I think if you have to take the essence of all that we talked right now, I think it's just that you have to spend a great amount of serious time trying to figure out.
It's your family's health.
Family's health, and one has to know. It's not smart enough to completely outsource it if you have to, but make an educated decision as far as that outsourcing is also concerned. And eventually, since it's your money and your health and your family, it's important to put your head down to it sometime, look through the policy and know exactly what you're covered for and what you're not. And I have to say that this waiting period in the hospital after the billing is done was quite an eye-opener for me as well. So it's not people trying to bill you more, it's just the process takes that much of a legit time. So thank you, Varun. That was highly informative.